Imagine you're on the verge of something big. Your career is taking off, your health is improving, and you're working on something that could change your life. But then the distractions creep in. Your friends invite you out, the parties start, and slowly your focus slips away. You tell yourself just one more time, but that one more time turns into a downward spiral, and before you know it, you've lost it all. That was my reality, and it nearly cost me everything. That was me, back in 2021. I was at the peak of what I thought was a promising chapter in my life. My business was finally starting to show signs of growth, and I was working hard on losing weight. But despite everything going well, something inside me was unraveling. My fitness routine was slipping, my energy was draining, and my focus? It was completely gone. Every weekend, I gave myself an excuse to indulge, whether it was hanging out with friends, attending parties, or drinking the night away. It seemed harmless, but it was a slow poison. I'd wake up from these binges feeling completely drained, unable to focus on my work or my goals. The worst part, it would take days to get back on track. And just as I was starting to recover, another invitation, another event would pull me away. I felt trapped in a loop of self-sabotage. I knew that I was capable of more, but I couldn't seem to break free. The momentum I'd built started to crumble, and with it, my hope of success. And then I hit a breaking point, my birthday weekend. I had been planning this trip for months with friends, but I was exhausted by the cycle of failure. I was tired of pretending that I could continue like this, balancing my ambitions with mindless distractions. That weekend, after yet another night of overindulgence, I had enough. I was furious with myself. Every part of me screamed that I had to change. That was the moment when everything shifted. I didn't just want change, I needed it. I couldn't go on living like this, watching my goals fade into the background as my life got bogged down by distractions. The hardest part was facing the truth. I had to be extreme if I truly wanted my life to change. And that's when I made the decision to disappear. No more parties, no more distractions, no more excuses. I became unavailable to everyone and everything that wasn't aligned with my ultimate goals. I didn't have to think twice about it. Every invitation, every event was a hard no. The moment I cut off everything that wasn't serving my growth, things began to click. My focus returned, my health improved, and my business started thriving again. Now, if you're watching this and you relate, if you've ever felt like you're stuck in a cycle of distractions, wondering how to get back on track, I want to invite you to subscribe to Quiet Discipline Method. I'll be sharing more content to help you break free from distractions and build the life you deserve. But first, let me ask you a question. Think about your own life right now. Do you feel like you're in control of your distractions, or do they control you? Comment below with either A, I control my distractions, or B, my distractions control me. I'd love to hear your thoughts and have a conversation about how we can all regain control and start living with purpose. After I decided to disappear and eliminate all distractions, I realized that this decision wasn't just about saying no to parties or social events. It was about something much deeper. Changing the way my mind and body functioned. It was about rewiring my brain and, in essence, retraining myself to adopt new, healthier habits that would drive me towards success. At the core of this transformation was the idea of neuroplasticity, the brain's incredible ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. The more I focused on my goals and stayed disciplined, the more my brain adapted. It wasn't enough to just stop doing things that were counterproductive. I had to actively replace those behaviors with things that aligned with my vision. Every decision, every moment of focus helped rewire my brain to view my goals as not just something I wanted, but something that was becoming inevitable. There's a theory called Hebb's Law, which states that neurons that fire together wire together. This means that the more we engage in a particular thought or behavior, the more ingrained it becomes in our neural pathways. In simple terms, our brains are designed to adapt to whatever we focus on most. If I chose to focus on distractions, my brain would reinforce those neural pathways, making them stronger. But by deliberately focusing on my goals, I began to create new, more productive pathways. The key to success wasn't just about being consistent, it was about intensity and challenge. The more extreme I made my commitment, the faster my brain adapted. It wasn't just about repetition, it was about pushing my limits. Neuroscientists agree that novelty and challenge stimulate neural plasticity even more than simple repetition. By taking an extreme approach, by fully committing to my goals without any room for compromise, I forced my brain to learn faster, to adapt quicker, and to take action in a way that I hadn't experienced before. The challenges I faced, both mental and physical, became opportunities for growth, and every setback was just another lesson that strengthened my resolve. In addition to rewiring my brain, there was a shift in how I motivated myself. I stopped relying on external rewards or validation to keep me going. Intrinsic motivation became my fuel. It wasn't about seeking praise or recognition, it was about the deep satisfaction that came from knowing I was on the right path. There are 5 key intrinsic motivators that, when tapped into, can fuel this kind of obsession with your goals: curiosity, passion, purpose, autonomy, and mastery. Curiosity drove me to explore new ways of thinking and doing. Passion kept me engaged even when the going got tough. Purpose gave me a reason to keep going when the rewards were far off. Autonomy gave me the freedom to make my own choices, and mastery kept me focused on learning and improving. All of these motivators work together to create a neurochemical cocktail in my brain, driving me into a state of flow where everything I did felt effortless and enjoyable. This shift in how I approached my goals didn't just change my mindset, it changed my entire life. The moment I committed to a new, more extreme path, my reality began to shift. I was no longer operating in a cycle of short-term gratification. I was laying the foundation for a long-term, sustainable life of success driven by the clarity that only extreme focus can bring. My brain was rewiring itself, and I was becoming someone capable of achieving the kind of success I had always dreamed of. It wasn't magic, it was science, and it was the kind of change that only happens when you commit to being extreme. Building on the mental and physical transformation I was experiencing, I soon realized that the key to lasting change was not just about thinking differently, it was about acting differently and doing so consistently. Extreme focus wasn't just a mental exercise, it required radical shifts in how I spent my time and energy. The real test wasn't in how much I could think about change, but how much I could do without being derailed by the distractions that once controlled me. I started by committing to a single goal, a project that would stretch me beyond my current limits, something that forced me to focus every ounce of my energy. This wasn't just another to-do list item, it was a defining challenge, a way for me to prove to myself that I could commit fully to something bigger than myself. I knew this project had to align with my long-term vision, so it had to be meaningful, not something I could abandon halfway through. But it wasn't enough to just focus on the project. I knew that true change required an equally radical commitment to self-improvement in every aspect of my life. So, alongside the project, I chose to dedicate time each day to reading one book. Not many, not a little here and there, but one book that would help me grow, that would provide new perspectives, new knowledge, and skills that I could apply directly to my goals. The book became my daily nourishment for the mind, filling me with new ideas, strategies, and lessons that I could use immediately. But reading wasn't just about gaining information, it was about creating an identity around learning, becoming someone who was constantly evolving. The third commitment I made was a meditation practice. At first, this seemed like something that would slow me down, something I didn't have time for. But what I quickly realized was that meditation was not about slowing down. It was about reconnecting with the present moment and finding clarity amidst the chaos of my thoughts. Through meditation, I learned how to listen to my inner voice, to differentiate between distractions and true desires. It helped me hone my focus, enabling me to return to my project, my reading, and my work with a deeper sense of purpose and peace. The fourth commitment was physical training. I could no longer neglect my body, knowing that a strong body is the foundation for a strong mind. I chose a workout routine that would challenge me physically, but more importantly, it was about creating consistency in a different area of my life. Physical fitness became a metaphor for the mental discipline I was cultivating. Every workout was a small victory, a reminder that change is possible when we commit ourselves fully. It became not just a way to stay healthy, but a way to keep my willpower sharp. With these four commitments, one project, one book, one meditation, and one workout, I began to see my life transform. It wasn't immediate, but it was profound. Each day I felt the shift, from living reactively to living with intention, from seeking distractions to finding purpose in every action. The consistency in these habits began to pay off in ways I couldn't have imagined. My focus was sharper, my body stronger, and my mind clearer. This extreme approach wasn't about perfection, it was about persistence, about committing to something with every ounce of energy, knowing that the rewards would come, but only if I stayed consistent, stayed disciplined, and stayed focused on the long-term vision. It was through this unwavering commitment that I realized true transformation happens, not in moments of inspiration, but in the everyday actions that compound over time. Having committed to a path of extreme focus and discipline, I quickly realized that this was only the beginning of the transformation I needed. What I had done up to that point, cutting out distractions, working on my project, reading, meditating, and exercising, was essential. But it was clear that I had to go deeper. It wasn't just about changing my external habits, it was about reshaping how I saw my entire life. The more I examined my journey, the more I understood that true change comes when you embrace both the defensive and offensive elements of personal growth. First, there is the defensive side, eliminating the things in your life that drain your energy, pull your focus, and keep you from becoming the person you're meant to be. This is not about being extreme for the sake of it, it's about being intentional. You have to understand what truly matters to you and protect it at all costs. Just as an athlete wouldn't play a game without a proper defense, you cannot allow distractions, bad habits, or toxic relationships to control your environment. I had to learn how to say no, not just to people, but to the inner voice that tempted me with shortcuts and immediate gratification. It's about creating boundaries that honor your goals and your time, and not feeling guilty for setting them. As I became more aware of the need to eliminate distractions, I also began to understand the importance of offensive strategies, actively pursuing goals that aligned with my vision. This offense wasn't just about doing more, it was about doing what truly mattered. For me, this meant diving deeper into my project, focusing on mastering skills that would propel me forward, and continuously challenging myself to go beyond what I thought I was capable of. This offensive strategy allowed me to not just defend my time, but to actively move towards something meaningful every single day. The more I honed my defensive and offensive strategies, the more I realized how deeply these elements are intertwined. A strong defense frees up space for offensive action. Without eliminating the distractions that constantly pulled at my attention, I would never have had the mental and emotional capacity to give my full focus to my goals. At the same time, a powerful offense, actively creating and moving toward meaningful work, drove my commitment even further. It gave me a reason to stay disciplined and a clear vision of what I was working toward. Each offensive action became a building block, not just for success, but for a life well lived. I also understood that change isn't linear. There were moments when I faltered, moments when I felt overwhelmed. but I learned that it's the consistency of these small, deliberate actions over time that leads to profound shifts. It's about showing up for yourself, even when it feels tough. It's about trusting the process and understanding that every action, no matter how small, contributes to the bigger picture. Ultimately, this journey was about creating a life that aligned with my deepest values, where I was actively pursuing the good, the true, and the beautiful in everything I did. It wasn't about waiting for inspiration to strike, it was about discipline and persistence. Through this process, I found clarity, purpose, and the strength to continue moving forward no matter the obstacles that came my way. The transformation wasn't just about what I did, it was about who I became in the process. And this, I realized, was the true power of embracing an extreme commitment to change. As I continued to push forward with this intense focus and discipline, it became clear that these habits, strategies, and the commitment to personal growth weren't just about achieving short-term success. They were about building a foundation for a new way of life. This realization brought me to an important understanding. The process of transformation is not complete until you align your actions with your deeper values and long-term vision. True growth happens when you can integrate your focus, discipline, and purpose into a lifestyle that doesn't just work for you, but works for your entire life. What I learned through this journey is that there is no point of arrival. We often think of success as a destination, but it's actually a continuous process of refinement, adaptation, and self-awareness. The more I committed to these habits and principles, the more I understood that the key to lasting change isn't about reaching some final goal. It's about maintaining the momentum and discipline to keep striving for something greater. It's about becoming the person who embodies the values and actions you aspire to, rather than just aiming to hit a set target. This shift in perspective was critical for me. But here's the thing. No matter how strong your commitment is, you'll inevitably face moments of doubt, of frustration, of thinking you're not making progress fast enough. The process of change isn't always smooth, and it often feels uncomfortable. In those moments, what kept me going wasn't the external rewards or the praise from others. It was the internal satisfaction of knowing I was doing the right thing, even if it didn't always feel that way. I learned that these moments of discomfort were the signs of growth, not obstacles to it. If you're in the process of making a transformation, whether it's in your career, your health, or your personal life, the most important thing to understand is that the real challenge isn't the work itself. It's staying the course when the path gets hard. It's about learning to embrace the discomfort, to see it as an integral part of the process. Each small, consistent effort is a step toward building a life that's aligned with your deepest values. The beauty of this journey lies in the fact that it's never truly over. With every challenge faced, every setback overcome, you're constantly becoming a new version of yourself, one who's stronger, more focused, and more capable. And the more you commit to this process, the more the actions become automatic, no longer requiring the same level of effort, because they are ingrained in your identity. As you move forward, remember this. Extreme discipline is not a temporary fix. It's a lifelong practice. It's about the daily choices you make, the mindset you adopt, and the person you choose to become in the process. The power of discipline lies not in achieving immediate success, but in the ability to sustain that success over the long term through continued dedication and the unwavering belief that every small action counts. So, the question isn't whether you will change, but how far are you willing to go to make it happen? Are you ready to embrace this extreme commitment and create the life you've always envisioned? If so, the journey starts with a single, powerful decision: to take the first step and never look back. In the end, the path to true transformation lies in extreme discipline and focus. It's not about short bursts of effort or temporary sacrifices, but about creating a new way of life that aligns with your deepest values and long-term vision. Each step, no matter how small, compounds over time, shaping who you become. The journey requires commitment, consistency, and the willingness to embrace discomfort as part of growth. When you choose to live with purpose and discipline, you don't just achieve success, you create a life of fulfillment and lasting impact. Lesson: extreme commitment to your goals is the foundation for lasting change. It requires both intense focus and the ability to continuously embrace growth through discomfort. The key is to make discipline a part of your identity, not just an action. How can you apply this concept of extreme focus in your own life right now? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please share your perspective in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Quiet Discipline Method for more content that will help you build the life you desire. Your support keeps us motivated to create valuable content just for you.